Hey! The video you're seeing is 10 minutes of unedited gameplay footage of Letter Engineer. I won't voice over the whole thing, but I'll chime in occasionally to introduce you to the game and its mechanics. The main idea of Letter Engineer is placing these letters in a crossword format such that they form valid words both horizontally and vertically. Any contiguous tile structure becomes a physics object that you can use to get the ball to the flag. So in this level, I've made a 5-letter bridge to cross this 3-letter gap. For overworld navigation, you're solving these fill-in-the-blank word puzzles to make bridges to other planets. Unlike the level gameplay, these all have only one solution. This next level is meant to introduce the player to vertical words. The gaps in the sides force the players to fill at least 3 sides of the square structure, which will hopefully teach them 2 things. First, they'll gain an understanding of how vertical words work and that they have to be valid too. Second, they'll understand that a contiguous structure is rigidly connected. The word grid isn't going to fall into the void and leave the other letters behind, as long as they have some letters on the bottom. A major focus of the game has been on giving players optional extra challenges to engage with as they wish, so you'll see on this level end screen some optional challenges and a histogram comparing my solutions to global averages. And now you can see I'm going back and editing my solution in order to stay under the budget. I didn't have to do this, but I wanted to. By the way, in case you'd prefer to see this gameplay raw with no commentary, I have a commentary-free version of this linked in the description. To talk a bit about my design goals, I love the daily word game genre, but it's missing something that makes it hard to translate out of the web game format. I think that missing element is player creativity. Most games I play have a major element of creativity to them, whether it's the aesthetic choices of a sandbox game, strategizing about my builds in a roguelike, or the many ways to optimize a factory game. Rather than making you search for the solution that the developer intended, these games give you systems and mechanics under which there are infinitely many ways to play. I first connected these ideas when I played a few rounds of Bananagrams against a friend. I won more often than I lost, but whenever we shared our boards at the end of the game, I liked their board better than mine. I had these 2-letter zigzags that sprawled across the table, while they had these tight structures with squares and long words. I was playing better by the rules, but they were clearly having more fun. This experience made me want to make a crossword game where the shape of your words matters, and these creative structures are rewarded by the game itself. I think that every game with staying power in the cultural zeitgeist is ultimately a medium for player expression. Even something seemingly straightforward like Doom stays alive through fan-made map-making and toaster porting. Older Pokemon games remain alive and well through self-imposed challenge runs. I want Letter Engineer to open these doors to the word nerds. I want to see people beat the game without the letter E, solve a level using the words to a Shakespeare sonnet, or win using only swear words. I don't know if any of these are possible, but I would love to find out. To talk a bit about how I actually implemented this, the game uses several methods to encourage players to solve each level in different ways. I made the shop to let players use whatever letters they want, but with more frequent letters like vowels costing more money and less frequent letters like W, X, Y, and Z costing less, encouraging players to use less common words to stay on budget. We've also seen that each level has its own optional challenge, such as using no letter more than once, using only one unique vowel, or beating the level in under 6 seconds. These challenges keep the game feeling fresh, with new ways to play, and can give players ideas for their own creative ways to play the game. Then, of course, is the histogram that compares your solution to the global average. Lastly, I of course have a sandbox mode where you can set up whatever structures you want, though that's not till the end of the game. An important aspect of the game that you won't actually see in the gameplay is the deterministic physics. Unlike in most game engines' default physics systems, the same initial conditions in a level guarantee the same final outcome. I set this up for a lot of different reasons. Usually deterministic physics aren't needed because non-deterministic systems don't actually vary all that much. But there are some chaotic elements in my game that can have very different long-term behavior if they're tilted even a tiny fraction of a degree. And I don't want the players continuously replaying an almost working solution in case it becomes a fully working one. The other main reason I made this deterministic is so that I could make the histogram system. To verify solutions rather than relying on any sort of account, I have the game mounted on a server that runs your solution. If it passes, it'll add your game to the global stats. If it doesn't, it'll give you the histogram anyway, but quietly discard the solution. This level introduces the hinged letter. The M here is pinned to the background, so to get the ball over this gap, I have to get a longish word that ends in M and a shorter word to put weight on the left side. Then it'll rotate counterclockwise about that M and hit the ball over the gap. Fixed letters like this P are stuck in place, so they can be used to make static structures. Eventually, you as the player gain the ability to place all of these different types of letter yourself, but until then all special types are pre-placed, which creates its own challenge of finding words that fit within the pre-placed letters. Later levels of course also have some pre-placed letters, the main difference is just that you can place the special ones yourself too. Brittle tiles are perhaps the most important mechanic in the game. We only see the introduction to them here, but they're the main way to modify your machine after the level starts. When you click them, they break, and the structure itself separates. Here, we use it to time a drop. That timing isn't actually important in this level, but in future levels it will be. The last new mechanic I'll introduce before the video ends is engine letters. They apply a force to your structure in any direction covered by a letter tile, and they exert that force at the position they're placed. So if I connect these two and play normally, they'll push in all directions equally and it cancels out. But if I form the word at on the left, the engine will push upward and it'll spiral and fall away. But then, if I form the word on the right, it'll be balanced and push the ball up to the goal. Now I'll go back and try to complete the extra challenge using O as my only vowel. That's about it for this introduction. I hope you enjoy the game.